Ed Mesiacos. Alderman John Lash.
Present.
Alderman Emmanuel Yamas.
Here.
Alderman Brandon Tolliver.
Here.
4 present.
Approval of the minutes, item 24-022 for March 25th.
So moved.
Motion made by Alderman Lamas, second Alderman Lamas, all in favor say aye. Okay, motion carries. Proceed. We have public comments? Or no?
No, we do not.
The first item of the agenda, please.
240230, a resolution to award a contract to Geneva Construction Company in the amount of $3,315,113 for the 2024 citywide street resurfacing West North High.
Good afternoon, Jason Bauer, Department of Public Works. So this is the award to Geneva Construction. This is only for the west and the north parts of the city, so we divided this year's contracts into two. So there's a larger project coming that involves all the motor fuel tax funds that went through IDOT, and that'll be going to finance on Thursday. This one is all local funds, so that one comes to this committee instead of INT. So this is everything west of the river and north of the railroad tracks. And that's just how we broke it out this year based on the size of project we were looking to target for this one. We went out to bid in this manner, hopefully to have 2 different projects that could be going on at the same time. A couple different advantages there. We would encourage additional contractors to bid, some that can handle a job of this size, but not the entire city. We have a pretty big resurfacing program of $10 million that we do. That doesn't include all of our federal projects. That's just the neighborhood resurfacing. And it's just been getting bigger and bigger with inflation and everything like that. So now we're at a point where we thought maybe we could break off a smaller piece and encourage some of the smaller vendors to participate, which we did. We did get a third vendor on this one. They didn't end up being the low bidder. Geneva Construction, one of the companies that generally has either every year or every other year gotten the larger project. They did end up still getting this project, which we're fine with, but we still think it was good to encourage some of the smaller companies to come in and try and bid on it. The bid prices were favorable. They came in below the estimate, so we are looking to award this contract and get them started as soon as possible.
So you're saying resurfacing on the west of the river?
Yes.
And north?
And north of the railroad. So this is basically going to be all of the resurfacing for wards 1, 5, 6, and parts of 4. And the other wards will all be on the one that goes to INT on Thursday.
Idea how many streets there are?
Yeah, the list is attached, so you can see in detail, all the ones that are going to be part of this contract. I believe the roads for this contract are all of the orange roads on the resurfacing list. So it's probably about 40 roads that are on this one, give or take, somewhere in that amount.
So resurfacing means they have to remove the old asphalt.
We always do, yep, yeah, and we do different approaches on different streets, depending on how, so if you envision the center of the road is a little bit higher, we call that the crown of the road, and then it slopes away to the curb or to the ditch. So a lot of times we can get away with just doing a removal along the edge. But if that crown is getting too steep because we've done that too many times, we try to stay below, what you build them to about 2%, we try to stay below like 4%. Once you start getting 5, 6%, sometimes it's harder to get into driveways, and then we'll just take 2 inches off of the entire thing to bring it back down so we can lower the center of the roadway again.
Questions, comments? Yeah?
Madam Chair, just a few questions. Did Abbey Paving?
Abbey Paving did not bid. We did have some discussions with them. We've been trying to talk to some of the local vendors and some of the smaller companies that have these capabilities, and all of them, for one reason or another, have either decided to pass on it, or in this case, we did pick up a third vendor, and they just didn't happen to be low. But Abbey Paving, basically, this isn't the type of project that they are geared towards.
And my other question is, I didn't understand all of the little definitions on the side, but I recognize some of the streets that don't have curbs. When we do a project like this, do we see if the residents want curbs? I know it usually goes through an SSA process.
Not typically on the standard resurfacing ones. A lot of the SSA roads, historically, the residents have come to us first, and we know those different areas, and there hasn't been a very big, there's not been a lot of takers. The last SSA we did to install curb, I think the number that we're looking for is 51% of the property owners, and we didn't come anywhere near that. It was sub 10%, just because the cost is too much.
Motion made by John Lash. Second Alderman Tolliver. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Next item.
Next item, 240237, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to enter into an agreement with M.M. Peters Construction, Inc. in the amount of $884,445.76 to infill vaults located under the sidewalk along Broadway from Benton Street to New York Street.
Good afternoon, Ian Wade with the Engineering Division as well. So you may recall at a previous recent meeting, we brought forward the electrical relocation work contract, which was the first step in infilling these vaults. This was the second portion of that scope for vault infill, which basically consisted of constructing a new masonry wall in the basement of these buildings, directly below the front face of the building. That wall would then act as a confinement wall to allow us to pour what's known as controlled low-strength material or flowable fill into these vaults. Basically what that material is it has a little bit of cement to it so that it is able to set up and be solid without requiring compaction like an aggregate would. But by being flowable and liquid, it is able to get into all the little nooks and crannies in these vaults to properly infill them. So we put this bid out. I believe we saw in the plans that it was approximately 34 vaults. We did get 5 bids back, with the lowest bid coming in at a pretty good rate, with it being a local firm as well that we have worked with on filling some of these vaults in the past. So we were quite pleased with that, and with that, I'll take any questions.
Questions, comments?
So moved.
Motion made by Alderman Lamas, second Alderman John Lash. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion
Thank you.
passed 4-0. Thank you very much. Next item.
A 240238, a resolution to award the Hoyles Avenue and Jackson Street sewer separation and water main replacement project located in Ward 2 to Fox Excavating, Inc. of Batavia, Illinois, in the bid amount of $939,285.
Good afternoon, Kurt Muth with the Engineering Division. So this project is located on Hoyles Avenue between 5th Street and Jackson Street, and then Jackson Street north of 5th Avenue, several hundred feet. On Hoyles Avenue, we're looking to upsize the 4-inch water main to 8-inch water main to improve capacity and install additional hydrants, improve hydrant coverage. And then we're looking to install a storm sewer on that same block to pick up the inlets along the block and at Jackson, and then the inlets closer to 5th Avenue, and transfer those over to the storm sewer system and remove those flows from the combined system. We went out to public bid and got 7 competitive bids. The low bid being from Fox Excavating, approximately 10% below the engineer's estimate. They've done some smaller storm sewer projects recently in town, so we're confident they can do the work. And we'd also be replacing any lead services that are confirmed and disturbed as part of the project. Be happy to answer any questions.
Questions, comments?
Pretty much confirmed and disturbed is pretty much.
Confirmed and disturbed is pretty much all of them, correct? Okay.
Yeah, in
Just
the
making
project
sure.
area, yeah, we'll replace every one that we find unless the homeowner doesn't want us to and signs a waiver,
Okay, thank you.
which is pretty rare.
Right. So moved.
Motion made by Alderman Aurora, second Alderman Oliver. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed, 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Exciting.
240249, a resolution authorizing the Director of Purchasing to execute change order number 1 to the contract with National Technologies, NTI, in the amount of $122,000 for the relocation of existing fiber along Indian Trail Road in Ward 1.
Good afternoon, Jason Bauer again. Earlier this year, we came forward, it was, I was here along with Jeff Anderson, and we went over all the different projects that were going to be included for fiber in, new installations with NTI this year. One other thing that we had NTI looking at probably around that same time frame was a relocation of an existing fiber line that's in conflict with one of our roadway projects. Right now, we have the Indian Trail basically around Mitchell, High Street, all the way to Church. That's under construction right now. All the utility relocation, all the private utilities have been relocated. The only one that still remains is the publicly, the city's fiber. So whenever we do a roadway project like this, we'll do our best to design any of our underground improvements, whether it's a water main project, a storm sewer installation, whether it's whether it's our utility or anybody else's, we'll always try our best to design in a way that we don't have to look for relocations. And we've been trying desperately to avoid incurring this cost too. This one's lagging a little bit from the original contract. Mainly for that reason, we've been working with not only the design engineer, but the construction engineer and also NTI to try and figure out if there's different ways we can get around this, whether that was to just relocate portions of the fiber, try to readjust the storm sewer so that we aren't in direct conflict with where it's at. But as we continue doing the work, it's just we're moving from one spot to another because we can't keep digging because it's right where we need to be. You know, we get a pretty rough idea as to where things are when we do the field locates, but they're not exactly accurate, so we were hoping that we wouldn't have as many as we do. And it's at the point in time where the easiest thing to do is just temporarily move it to the side and then just reinstall it once everything is done. We're digging so close to it that we don't want to damage it or anything like that, so just getting out and moving it is the best way to go about it. And this isn't too uncommon for our projects. There's a lot of sewer projects we do where we own the water main and we've got to relocate the water main as a part of a storm sewer installation. So it's common, it's just more often than not they're private utilities, not publicly owned ones. So we just want to go ahead and get this moved, and we don't want to hold up the construction of the project.
Comments, questions?
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion made by Alderman Aurora, second Alderman Lamas. All in favor, say aye.
Thank you.
Yes.